Hello, good evening, welcome. My name is Obindako, welcome. I want to share with you weak cash flow means struggling business or bad business. Weak cash flow means struggling business or weak business. When you start a business, when you start a company, there are so many things that you are going to learn. And one of it that you must qualify or you're going to go through the struggles, you're going to go through the pain for a very long time is the finance, is the money side of the business. And mainly, it's the cash flow, how the money is coming in and how the money is going out. I think that most businesses, it takes a lot of information, it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of right decisions to make anything work and work well. And when it comes to business, it's the same. The kind of decisions, the kind of exposure, the kind of understanding that you had when you were starting the business will go a long way to, mean or to show whether you are going to go through the things that everybody goes through, if you're going to survive, and if you're going to come out and to be able to build a business. When building a business in our country is not a joke at all. And the data supports that. You know, the things that you have to have rightly set for you to possibly come to come to close as to if you're able to build a business. Is the things, there are many, but if you start to think about them, if you start to know them, you'll be able to at least maneuver your way through and make some inroads. And so, my name is Abidako. I'm talking about weak cash flow means struggling or bad business. Most people, what they have is just an idea that they're working on. Most people, what they have is just a project. So most people, what they have, no matter how many years that they have done the business, most people, it's just a product that they are dealing with. Having a product, having a project, and having an idea is not necessarily building a business. There are so many things that are very much different, with a project or with a business. And so, if you don't carve out a business with this thing in mind, you're going to struggle. And one of the main things that if you ask anybody who's trying to do business in our country, will tell you is access to funds, access to funding, money. Most people struggle with that. But I think that if you understand cash flow and its impact, its effects, the influence it has on you being able to succeed, at least, is very much key. Um, if you're going to strictly depend on the income from the business, if you're going to depend strictly on the fair play rules in business to grow your business in our country, then you must be, I say, you must be super, super, super intentional. And you must have some kind of intelligence. You must have some kind of focus. You must have some kind of skill to really build a business in our country. Okay, because the pitfalls are many, the leaks are many, and the understanding for me, for you to, if you're going to grow the business, then to employ 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 30, create opportunities, people, for people and for yourself, you must have some level of intelligence, some level of understanding, some level of focus. So I am talking about cash flow. It means what it means. You have to really look at the area that you're starting the business with, or if even if you started the business, if you're struggling with your business, it's so likely that the cash flow is a problem. If you've been going through, you go up and you drop, you go up and you drop, and you go up and you drop, it's so likely that the cash flow, the kind of business that you're doing, the kind of business that you're engaging, is so likely that the cash flow is very weak. You're going to struggle. That is a fact. If the cash flow is not solid, you're going to struggle. So I would say that if you start a business, sometime, if I were to start a business now, or anytime that we are trying to look at a project that we can develop into a business, our mind goes to the kind of business that we are starting and the kind of control that we have with respect with the cash. as how the cash is going to come in, the control that we will have, and how the cash is going to go. If you play that thing like it's not important, you will struggle for a long time. That's why most of our business people, they only rely on contract from government agencies, and going through all kind of people to look for contract, whether it's a supply contract, whether it's a building contract, whether it's a installation contract. Majority of our business people really are just project business, and that technically is not so much entrepreneurship, or it's not so much business, because there's so much that is outside your control. For instance, if you're looking for construction contract, some guy somewhere is sitting somewhere, he pulls some papers together, he says the tender, and if you are green, you wait for it to appear in the newspaper, and then you go and buy it with some money, 200, 300 Ghana cedis, and that contract is one, but they are selling that contract to how many people? Only God knows. They sell it to so many people. And then they will tell you that go and look for bid security, go and look for all these things, pre-contract conditions. They will ask for, your tax certificate. They will ask for your Senate certificate. Some of them will even ask for, registered generals, renewals, something. They will ask for all kind of things. Now, all those things are money that you're spending on a project that you don't have. And 90% of the time, that project is even gone before they publish it. So when you are green, you waste a lot of money on these things. Now, some people will even ask for money before they if you qualify that stage, that is, if you were involved in all the activities before the thing became public, they will still go ahead and ask you for some money. Now, all those things that you're sending out, don't forget that when they give you that project, you're still going to look for money to execute that project. And then somebody somewhere will come and certify. Then somebody somewhere you go through so many problems, so many procedures for you to get pay for a work that you started spending, for a work that most often they don't even give you advanced mobilization. And so if you really look at it, people who go through this kind of projects, contract project, that's why they have to most often do a lot of things that are not ethical. Why? Because the process is not a business. It's not a business, because if you look at, they give you a project, construction project. They say, let's say construct a 2-bedroom house for some people in the ministries. They will say that maybe do that within 6 to 1 year or 1.5 years. Now, when you start to do that, when you start to do that business, you will do it to a point. You start. Let's say the contract has been signed. Most often, they will, even if they will give you mobilization, they will say go and bring a mobilization guarantee. So you have to go and pay another something somewhere to some insurance company or to a bank before they raise the guarantee for you, before you go through all those processes, before you get the money. Most often, they will even expect you to start before the mobilization comes in. Some people will even tell you no mobilization at all. Now, if you are not skilled with your finances, by the time that you finish this project, if they were that honest and strict on fair rate, you will be at loss, because most contractors will go and borrow from a microfinance company or a bank which is charging probably 3 to 5% a month. You raise the certificate, takes about 4 months or so. That is if you are not even paying anybody. And so people in this kind of businesses, you see that they are always struggling. They are always going through some trouble or the other. Look at construction companies. It doesn't even matter the size, whether it's 2 people who are working there or 1,000 people. Most often, you hear the workers, the labor, fighting, agitating. We want pay increment. The pay has delay. Why? Because you are sinking so much money, a lot of money, into one client's product, into one client's project. And you wait for him for that revenue to come, for that income to come from one source. So I'm talking about weak cash flow means bad business. So fast forward, if you start to do the right things, that's why most people who go through this kind of business is never grow to become proper business people or proper entrepreneurs. Why? Because if you don't want to go through it, then you have to pay your way through for them to give you money, for them to pay you on time, for them to cut all kind of corners to give you money. Now, the moment you start to do that, you don't grow. You don't grow as an entrepreneur. If your focus is to just get money to buy a car or build a house, then that's fine. But if your focus is to go through the processes, is to go through the stages, is to go through all this to scale up, to get the skill to build a business, then I am saying that is not a good business to do. So if you're machining, if you're thinking, if you're going through the concept to build any business, look at a business where you start to see money the moment you start to spend money. You start to see the money the moment you start to see the money, to spend the money. So let's say somebody has a provision shop. That person, if he's that serious and focused, I buy milk, I buy sugar, I buy gari, I put it in the shop. I start to sell it. I don't depend on one client to pay me everything. Anybody at all, if my service is good, can come in and buy. At the end of the day, at the end of the trading day, I know, okay, 2 people came. I have 3 cedi. I spent 2 cedis. This is how much is left. Somebody in that kind of business, in a kind of business environment, will be a better business person if he's studying, if he's progressing, if he's learning. That person will scale that quick. That person will become a better business person. That person will learn the things that you need to learn to do proper business than the other guy who is trying to go through tender processes and paying all these bribes to get project and work, go and borrow, wait for 1 year, 2 years. Sometimes you can work for 3 years. They have not paid you because the guy who gave you the project was not honest with you. And so I'm saying that if you are trying to design a business model, if you're trying to enter into any business, look at the way the cash is coming in and look at the way the cash is going out. If you start to be right with this decision, it's likely that you'll be able to build a good business, at least at your level. You may not be able to build maybe billion business, but at least a business that you'll be so much proud of, the business that you don't have to beg. Because one of the things that you are trying to build a business, one of the things that you are trying to build to be an entrepreneur is your ability to control your destiny and have freedom. That's what you want to. You have some level of ego. Now, if you go to keep on begging politicians and these DCs and all those people for project, or the guy at that gold company, they have all kind of connections to give you project. You have lost you have lost that what they call footage. You have lost that ground that you have to build yourself as an entrepreneur. So look at industries, look at our economy. Economy structure said that if you don't take care, you can be in business for 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, and you still struggle at the primary level. You go through a lot of, and especially when you have not, if you tell yourself that I want to do the right things, I want to go through the process, I want to be honest, I don't want to cheat my way through, then you have to look at the side of business that you want to stay to have much control. You must have control of how the money is going, and you must have a lot of control as to how the money comes in. If somebody else has to decide when to pay you, that's why most of you see the guy, he said that he has worked for all these projects and he has nothing. His car, he can't even repair the engine. He can buy fuel. The office is very dirty. And he's been in this business for how many years? For 20 years. Why? Because he forgot that if you don't have control over the cash, you have no business. And if it's weak cash flow, normally, if it's a weak cash flow, it's because somebody else is controlling it. Somebody else is telling you spend. And when they want, they pay you a little. When they want, they pay you a little. No matter how much enthusiastic and energetic you are, if you enter in a bad business sector, in a bad business session, in a bad economy, you will not do well. So there are so many entrepreneurs, you can see that this guy is trying, but he's in a bad business. And the thing is that if you're in a bad vehicle, there's so much limit as to the speed you can go. No matter how intelligent you are, if you're in Tico, the speed is limited by design. But if you're in foolish and you're in Land Cruiser, maybe if you don't get accident, you go faster. Why? Because of the design of the vehicle. So the kind of business that you are into It's so critical as to how much or how fast you can succeed as a business person. And for me, if you are not building a business that you can employ one, two, three, four people, if you don't design a business set that you can employ, you don't have a business. Because the essence of entrepreneurship is to be able to at least design something that can work with much control from you and that can work a little bit, in your absence, and that people can take control of. So if you went to pay the bribe and they are working and you have to chase the check all the time, you don't have a business. You just have something that is you are doing, no matter how much money. I know companies that are doing millions of projects, and they are always struggling to pay the contractors. Why? Because really, if you don't have control over the cash, you have no business. You have no business. The other guy who is selling ice water on the street, if they do it well, they will do far more better than you. Why? Because they have control over the cash. So the contract sum does not mean that you have profit. Oh, that's why. Oh, Jack, I don't know. They told me to come for a contract, and the contract is 20 million. It doesn't mean anything, because they are going to tell you if they want to give you mobilization, bring guarantee. You are going to spend there to raise the guarantee. That's even if you have it. Now, for you to do it, if you don't bring the guarantee, you have to go and borrow from the bank. At what rate? A lot of rate. So if you were straight with the rate, and if you are not paying right, it's likely that by the time you finish that project, you are in trouble. So look for a business that the cash flow is good. And so I would say that business that, if it's trading business, it's retailing business, it's wholesaling business. If you're manufacturing, make sure your selling point, your sales, your marketing is that solid. You are not stocking, and then nobody's coming to buy. You are getting money every day. If you get into this kind of businesses, it's so likely that you will succeed. You have to study our kind of environment. The way our things work is entirely different from the way some people, like most of our people don't have access to credit card. So they have to work, get money to come and buy. That's how you have to design your business. You have to think from it that way, that these people have to spend from what they have worked for. Some other places, they have the credit card. Even if they don't deserve it, they give it to them to go and spend, But always, the person must go and work, have the money to come and pay you. So you are looking at something that the majority of the people can afford. Then you can get income all the time, because largely our economy is said that people really, one major determining factor of why people buy from where or procure your services is cost. Okay, we are not looking at quality first. We don't look at quality, we look at cost. Can we afford it? That's how we buy. And there's nothing wrong with it, because you don't have access to a lot of the credit that the other people have. So we are looking at, and most of us, let's say, look at the average salary in our country. And so if you say that you are selling something that, let's say you are selling shoes, or you are making shoes, and you say that your shoe is 500 Ghana cedis, automatically you have cut maybe 50% of the people from buying your shoes. Why? Because the average income, if he pays the if he buys a 500 Ghana shoe, the children won't go to school, they won't pay the rent, they won't eat. And so if you look well, the companies that try to do well and try to manage through are mainly companies, especially startups, are companies that are very much in tune with the pricing based on the pocket. So let's say you say that you are a real estate agent. If you are renting top notch $1,000 rent, you are looking at $2,000 rent. You know that you are looking at a very small part of the economy. But if you are looking at how you want to help people who are looking for 50 Ghana cedis to say 300 Ghana cedi rent, then it's spread. So look at that. If your business is not targeting majority of the people, you are going to struggle with the cash flow. And if you're struggling with the cash flow, you have no business. And that's why you start to cut corners. That's why you start to do all kind of things, because you're not thinking through the business. So take the economy into consideration hugely, and look at how you price, look at what kind of business that you get into. If you don't do that, then we say that our business is very tough, which I concur. Business is tough, business is difficult. You can go through a lot of things, but you can reduce all those if you make some intelligent choices and decisions. And so look at daily sales kind of business, look at the business or the product, the services that majority of the people can afford. It's better that way. And don't think that the profit is different from the cash flow anyway. And most often profit is in your head. If you see a contractor, he's checking 10%, 20%. By the time he finishes, something about business ownership, something about entrepreneurship is that when everything is going on well, everybody is with you. When the project is completed and you are left with the losses, everybody else is gone. You are the one to deal with the creditors. So don't lose focus of this. If you're going to start a business, if you're into a business, all of us make mistakes. So all of us will go through the learning processes, the curves. But at a point, you have to sit back and think through well and look at the businesses that you're doing. Those that are not succeeding, you probably have to restructure or even terminate, retreat. And those that you think are doing well, you focus more there. And I think that if you look at the cash flow and look at the economy that we have, if you want to do business and do it well and have some level of integrity, stay in the areas that you get money every day. The areas that the guy comes to buy, the next minute is paying you, the next 2 weeks is paying you. Look at something that you can predict your cash flow with. Look at that, because if you don't look at that, you have no business. You have no business. You're just jobbing. You have no business. That's why you're doing all those things. You want to impress people. So look at where the money is going. You start to make some money. Be that frugal with how much you spend on things that will not bring direct increase in terms of the revenue. You want to spend on things that will bring direct, because if you're not able to restrain yourself and keep the business to a stage where the business can stand. It's like a child. The child is developing. If you're not careful and the child starts to walk and you try to run with the child, you'll crash it. So you look at processes that you have to really be regimental. You have to have some regiment to make sure that it gets to a stage where the business can survive, and that calls for a lot of discipline. So even if when you start to steal money, you still have to know that there can be any day, any bad day, any day around the corner. So you have to have excess all the time. The salary, once you start to pay salary, business, there's so much expenditure. You know it, and I know it. You're paying the what is the name? You're paying the rent, you're paying the electricity, you're paying the data, you're buying, the printer will spoil, the computer will spoil, all kind of things will spoil. So if you don't really focus on the expenditure well and follow every bit of it, if you're good-hearted, you trust people anyhow, like me, and then you see that you're wasting a lot of money because you were just loose. And don't be that much loose, especially because the lifeline of the business. If you meet any boy, any girl doing business, struggling, look at the cash flow. The only reason that they are telling you that the business is not doing well is not because they don't have contract. They have had some, but they mismanage the funds, or because they work so well and then the client didn't pay, or the client took so much time, delayed so much that by the time the money came in. That's why a lot of people are doing discounting, discounting of certificate and all that. They do that because the cash is not there. If you have money, why would you go and discount the certificate? What for? Because you go through all those. Why? Because you have mismanaged the cash, or the business is not just good. And most people, the kind of business that they are in is not good for them. They will never succeed until they start to change the plan, look at it again, look at the vehicle, look at it. Because if you don't, you're going to waste a lot of time, a lot of energy. By the time you see it, you have spent 10 years in this business and you're marking time. Why? Because the structure of the economy, look at it well. Look at it well. There's an economy that is mainly, you're just trading, selling. So look at how you can widen your margins and sell to people every day. This is the kind of businesses that I think will help you not to so much struggle with the cash. The other ones that are requiring you to pay bribe before they give you project, go and take bank loan before they give you project, all those things. Listen, you're just going to put, especially if you're not skilled, if you don't understand what you're doing, you're just going to waste your time, your days, you're going to crash, you're going to go to a lot of trouble. And especially if you want to develop as a proper business, as a proper entrepreneur, with some kind of character and be proud of what you're achieving, then I would say that look at what you're entering with. People going into farming, very few people will control your finances. There are other disadvantages there. People who are going to poultry, people who are going to trading, people who are going to, processing of fruit juice or baking of bread, or, making some chemicals or manufacturing, or making of soap, whatever that whatever that you have, so many people that can come to buy from you without you depending on just one client. That is a good way to start to understand business, because then every day you see money. You can promise somebody come for 2 cities today and they will come and you get it for them because somebody will come. The contractor can promise you and you never get that 2 cities. Why? Because the contractor is always going through trouble. Going through trouble. So, the tax people will come and look for you, Senate will come and look for you, and you don't have money to go to give them. Why? Because the cash flow in that kind of business is not right. So if you have weak cash flow, you don't have any business. That's what I'm saying. So all the people who are going through a lot of trouble, startups, people, I'm not interested in people who are at that stage. I'm interested in somebody who's trying to build a business. Picking yourself, a young graduate, a lady, trying to build a business. Focus in areas that the cash flow is good. So go and do a lot of studies on it. If you don't focus on it, you'll be there for a very long time. My friends, the people I know who have gone through a lot of problems with their businesses are people who focus on areas that the cash flow was that weak, which means that somebody else was controlling it. You even if you have money, you continue to spend, and they don't pay. It's one-way traffic. And then when they want to pay you, they are even asking for bribe. That kind of business, you have no future. You waste your time. But if you decide to go into areas that you have that level of leverage, of control, where you can feel your output every day. I was able to manufacture 10 and I sold 5 today. I was able to manufacture 20 and I sold 20. I was able to do this. You spend money, you see it. You spend money, you see it. You spend money, you see it. So always you have difference that you are not putting it back, that you can use to grow the business, build a structure, build a system, expand, maybe get a new office, get a new laptop, maybe hire better person who can help you to work more, maybe do some, proper editing, create a website. If you don't have the access, you can do all this, so that's why you focus on that. If somebody is selling blocks, for instance, he's manufacturing the blocks, if he has very solid marketing plan, every day somebody will come there and buy some amount. If somebody is selling cement, same. If somebody is selling, let's say, kinky, same. Somebody is coming to buy every time. But you see the other guy, he has 20 million road construction and he's always struggling. But that's not a business yet, because a lot of them have cash flow issues. And if no matter how much the volume of the contract you have signed, if the cash flow is weak, you have no business. Your heart can easily. That's why most contractors die quickly. Why? Because of cash flow issues. They spend. They go and take everything. Sometimes they'll even go and sell their house because of the pressure. Why? Because the cash flow is weak. If you're going to do contracts, look at, okay, can we agree that you pay me every week, every 2 weeks? You put a lot of clauses there that you're seeing money all the time. Then you can pay the labor. Then you can buy the materials. Then you can take the pressure. Then you can even see whether you're losing or you're winning. Then you can easily, service the credit line. Things like that you must always focus on. So don't lose sight of the cash. Lose sight of the cash, you have no business. You have no business, and you have a lot of painful stories to tell which you could have prevented if you focus on the cash. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about cash flow. The weak it is, if you have a weak cash flow, you're just wasting a lot of time. You must scale up. You must grow quick. To understand that I have gone through a lot of these troubles because the business that I'm doing, the cash flow was not good. Just know that, and if you have to terminate that, terminate it. If you have to close it, go and sit down. There's nothing wrong if it's not working. Close it and go and come out with another one. Look at the economy well. Steady, successful businesses that are doing well. People who have picked ideas, built it into business. Build them into business. Study them. Not those who are just trying to screw people. I'm not talking, because mainly most people's business is contract or finance. Not those that. I'm talking of people who genuinely started idea. Whether it's trading, whether it's manufacturing of something, whatever that they have, services that they are running. Look at those people, study them, look at the areas that they have done well, and you see that if they had anything rightly done, it's because probably the business had a very good cash flow right from the beginning. Then you can build, because there are other pressures that will come beyond the money. There will be so many difficulties that come. So if the money is difficult, then you have like 20 you know, 200, 300% problems you're dealing with, because with the money you can solve a lot of problems. But if the money is the main problem, aye, there will be a lot of problems. So look at that. Look at that. Look at that. If you're not monitoring the cash flow, you're losing the business. Look at all the expenses. Look at all the people that are paying you. If they're not paying on time, look at that, because it's going to destroy the business. It's going to destroy the business. So, my name is Kwabena. Thank you very much for watching. I'm saying that weak cash flow means you're struggling, and look at the economy, look at the structure of the economy, and pitch yourself well. If you're successful and you start to have a lot of excess income, you can then go into any area and start to build yourself. If you're successful in that business that the cash flow was well, you start to get skill, you start to understand a lot of things that you're doing. Then from there you can get into any other area. But if you start on the wrong foot, it's very difficult for you to get the leverage that quickly. Sometimes you may even quit, or you'll be in stagnation for years, and you start to say that somebody is doing you. Nobody is doing you. You just don't understand the kind of business that you're doing and the difficulties with the cash. And the difficulties with the cash. So thank you very much for watching. So focus. Start. I'm not going to start. You know the kind of business you're doing. If you're always begging people to pay you, it's a bad business. If you're always crying for somebody, you go and sit there, the accountant is saying, come. You go there in the morning, he doesn't even look at you. He treats you like you're nothing. That's a bad business that you're doing. That is bad business. Focus on the business that you don't have to go and beg everybody, cry every day, weeping because of payment. And by the time the payment even comes in, you have spent so much, you owe so much that they pay you 10,000 and you were owing 15,000 because they delayed it. And you can be in that cycle for years because the kind of business that you're doing, you don't understand that if you don't control the cash flow, if the cash flow is weak, you have no business. It's going to be struggling business all your life until you correct that. So you if you don't do that, then you'll just be talking. I'm doing business, but you are not going anywhere with that kind of business. The other guy who has better cash flow, even if it's lesser margins, will do far more better than you with all the big contracts, with all the big margins that you're struggling every day. Sometimes what you use to even buy fuel is a problem. Why? Because the business is designed wrongly. The cash flow is weak. It's not there. It's that kind of business is probably not for people like you with this kind of level of finances and level of skill, and maybe even the level of influence. Some people will go and take that project and go directly to the president. They sign their check every day. You have no connection. So look at that. Look at that. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching. So design the cash flow such that you win with your business that week. Thank you.